and Indiana Congressman Jim Banks, chairman of the Republican Study Committee. Congressman Jordan, your reaction to the angle?
No, right on target, and you're right. This is America. We're always optimistic, but I think you captured it. The Democrats are trying to destroy every norm, precedent, and principle we have. Think about what they've done just this past year in Congress. They've closed the Capitol. They've enacted proxy voting. They've kicked Republicans off committee. They wouldn't let Republicans sit on a select committee. They're trying to make D.C. a state, trying to end the Electoral College, trying to end the filibuster, trying to pack the court, trying to nationalize elections, as you talked about, trying to let illegal immigrants vote, and already doing that in some locales. And finally, the January 6th committee has altered evidence and lied to the American people about that information. So they're unprecedented where they want to take us, but the American people get it. We, the people, get it, and we're going to stand up and make sure the principles that make our country great are defended and protected as we go forward. And in November, I think we're going to put Republicans in charge of the United States Congress.
And Congressman Banks, speaking of Liz Cheney, she's trying to rip the reins of the GOP from its own voters. Watch.
I think the country needs a strong Republican Party going forward, but our party has to choose. We can either be loyal to Donald Trump or we can be loyal to the Constitution, but we cannot be both. And right now, there are far too many Republicans who are trying to enable the former president, embrace the former president.
Congressman Banks, so I guess her litmus test is if you actually agreed with President Trump's policies, you can no longer effectively be a Republican. This is the reason I laid out the 4 planks, not to just be against Cheney and all of her nonsense. What are we for? You can't just be against them. We've got to be for things. That was the whole point of the angle. We know what they screwed up.
Yeah, and you nailed it. Your platform nails it. That's the platform that has united the Republican Party. We are as united and stronger than ever. That's why we're going to win back the majority, not by a little bit, but by a lot in these midterm elections. If President Trump taught us anything, he taught us that an America First agenda is a winning agenda for the Republican Party. The Republican Party made that pivot. And that's why we're more united than we've ever been in my lifetime, Laura. The Republican Party is stronger than it's ever been in my lifetime. You're going to see evidence of that in a big way on Election Day in November.
Congressman Jordan, I do want to get to this point of concealing documents. That's a big charge, and it looks like it's backed up by actual evidence regarding what Nancy Pelosi may be trying to cover up about what happened on January 6th. Now, for everyone to understand this, Congressman Rodney Davis's office sent this statement to the Angle. The House Sergeant at Arms, at the direction of the Speaker, has refused to provide us their communications surrounding January 6th. I believe those records will show there was a lot of communications and coordination between the Speaker's office and law enforcement officials leading up to and on January 6th. Congressman Jordan, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, why won't the Speaker's office let the Sergeant of Arms office give us the information, give us the documents, give us the communications? I mean, you have conflicting testimony from that time period. The Capitol Hill Police has said that they asked for the National Guard to be present on January 6th. The Sergeant at Arms has said, no, you didn't. So one guy says we asked for it. The other guy says we didn't. The guy who says we didn't reports directly to the Speaker and won't turn over the documents. The guy who said we did ask for the National Guard, they've given us the information. So I think that's what we want to, when Senators asked the Sergeant of Arms, just give us the information. Guess what he said? He said, you'll have to go to the Speaker's office to get that. And the Speaker's counsel, the Speaker's lawyer, the House counsel said, we're not going to give you the information. So turn over the documents. Let us see what's going on here. But again, remember, this committee, documents they do have, they have altered and lied to the American people about those. So I don't know if you can trust anything this committee does, but we'd at least like to know what the discrepancy between these two conflicting testimonies that we have.
Congressman Banks, related to this somewhat, President Trump has decided to do a rally on January 6th. Given all the emotion and the lies about what happened and what did happen criminally, and some things were horrific that happened and shouldn't have happened that day, is it smart for President Trump to do a rally on that particular day versus next week or the week before?
I welcome it. President Trump has important things to say on Thursday, on January 6th, and Like everybody, like so many others, I'm looking forward to hearing what President Trump has to say. Now, just like Jim Jordan said, Democrats fear nothing more than the truth. And that's why Nancy Pelosi kicked Jim Jordan and I off of the January 6th committee, because we were already asking questions that Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to answer. We don't know why she's trying to cover up many of the facts about what happened on January 6th, but we know that she's trying to cover it up. She's covering up the truth. And I know President Trump has important things to say about what happened that day. Jim Jordan and I and other Republicans are still at work conducting interviews with Capitol Police officers and others to try to get to the truth. And we're going to expose the truth along the way that shows that Nancy Pelosi and Democrats were involved in the negligence that led to the disaster that happened a year ago on January 6th. If we're serious about making sure that another January 6th never happens again, then we need to answer these important questions about the systemic breakdown of security at the top ranks of the U.S. Capitol Police, which report to Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
And Congressman Jordan, wasn't the Sergeant at Arms office, were people there summarily dismissed? I believe I heard that they people have been there for 10 and 12 years. Were just told to leave their offices at some point, and it seemed to be there was some politics involved there.
Yeah, the day after Pelosi asked the Paul Irving to leave, the Sergeant at Arms, and the new person that they brought in won't turn over the documents. The House counsel won't turn over the documents. But this whole thing, I mean, Laura, think about this. Democrats have objected to counting the electors every single time a Republican has won the presidency this century. Democrats spent 4 years trying to overturn President Trump's election. Democrats spied on President Trump's campaign, and they did an impeachment proceeding in secret based on a so-called whistleblower whose identity only Adam Schiff got to know. But somehow Donald Trump is the threat to democracy, according to Liz Cheney and Adam Schiff. It's ridiculous, and the American people see it for what it is. So we have to make sure we get the truth out, as Jim Banks said, about what really happened, what should have been in place that day to protect the Capitol.